President Trump welcomes Italy's prime minister at the White House.
The United States has a very large deficit, as usual, with Italy.
West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin meets with Trump Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh.
Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan would increase government health care spending by $32.6 trillion over 10 years.
Georgia Congressman and civil rights leader John Lewis has been released from a hospital in Atlanta.
There's 17 major fires going currently in California.
The National Interagency Fire Center says combined wildfires have scorched 4.5 million acres since the start of the year.
LeBron James calls it one of the greatest moments of his life. His foundation helping to open an elementary school.
A country music record.
It is meant to be, it'll be, it'll be.
That song, Meant to Be by Florida Georgia Line and Bebe Rexha's #1 on Billboard's Hot Country chart for 35 weeks.
15 people went to the hospital from serious exposure to ammonia after a leak at a Birds Eye food plant in Wisconsin.
No American Airlines flights took off nationwide for about 40 minutes because of the outage at the carrier's main operations center.
Good morning. 6:09 is the time here on this Tuesday morning. It is July 31st, 2018, and you are listening to Mike and Bonnie in the morning. Good morning, Bonnie.
Good morning, Mike and Treasure Coast. Thank you for waking up right here with us. We say good morning.
And we've got another big show ahead for us here on this Tuesday morning. We always do. Of course, we've got the local news, weather, and traffic. Sheriff William Snyder is going to be joining us in the 8 o'clock hour for Sheriff William Snyder 411. So if you are not in your car and you're not in a position to be able to hear that, you certainly should. And you can do that by going to our website, WSTU1450.com. You can click on Watch the Webcam, and that'll take you to our YouTube page, where we are live streaming on there, and the show will be archived there afterwards, so you can go back and listen to any part that you missed. While you're at it, go to facebook.com/WSTU1450. Like us on there, trying to get that thing back up and running. And we certainly would appreciate it if, as you're perusing through Facebook, that you give us a like on there and you start following our page. And Bonnie, you're taking over the Facebook page that is now your baby. Are you comfortable? Are you happy with it?
I'm happy with it. And, Mike, I'm really happy and excited about what you did with it, creating that Facebook page for us. And it looks very classy. And we just hope that you kind of rock and roll with us right here and take a look at Facebook. And, you can find out early about what our topics are going to be, too, throughout the morning a little bit, like what we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. So that gives you a little insight. And then we always like to hear your input, because we don't want to hear each other talk all morning either.
No, that's the worst.
So it's nice when you call in, and now you can go to Facebook and log in and, just go to our page at WSTU AM 1450 and, say hello, give us a like, and, get involved with the show. We just love to hear what the listeners have to say.
Did you go home and watch the talk yesterday and figure out what they were going to say about the head of CBS?
It was so funny. It's kind of like I work with my boyfriend. So I got to the job and I told him all about the big news with Les Moonves and pointed out who Julie Chen was from the talk, and, that they are husband and wife and what's going on. And he's like, wow, this is big. We have to get home early to watch the talk.
Oh.
So he got out right about 1:30 and I got out about 1:30, and we both raced home to turn it on. And it looks like Julie Chen was, there were just two hosts from the talk that weren't there yesterday. That was Sharon Osbourne, and Sarah Gilbert was also missing.
They were not there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Quite interesting. And the other two ladies, I don't know why, I just don't remember the other two main ladies' names.
But did they talk about it?
No.
No?
No, it's on CBS. Les Moonves is the CEO of CBS.
Correct.
A little bit under fire. And
a little bit.
And it was avoided. And Julie Chen, she looked relaxed. She was as professional as her usually smiling self, but they really avoided the issue. We were just I know Gary was complaining like, wow, they're showing this ice cream this ice cream truck driving, like they show this ice cream truck video, and the like the mud sloshed and hit some kids, and he's like, who cares about that?
Yeah, who cares? I'm with Gary. Who cares?
He's like, we want to hear the big stuff.
I'm not that surprised that they didn't talk about it. I don't think they mentioned that they didn't address the Roseanne stuff right away, did they?
Not right away. It looks like I think Sarah Gilbert had been missing from the show there too for a couple of days, which made me go back to her live feed when she had returned to the talk after the Roseanne incident. And when I watched the feed with her, with the ladies after the Roseanne incident happened, she had looked really kind of like a mess. Well, she looked very tired. And you could see it in her eyes. And, she came out and said how she had like a really bad week. It's been a hard week for cast members and everybody to go through this. And she had mentioned how proud she was of the show, that they had the Roseanne show.
Yeah, we remember, but they didn't address it right away.
Something to very be proud of. But the last words out of her mouth were, I think ABC did the right thing. Meaning that I'm sure she, Roseanne has been her friend for years.
Right.
But she was sort of siding with the ABC idea of firing Roseanne after the tweets.
Of course, CBS is dealing with the allegations facing Chairman and CEO Les Moonves. The board of directors met yesterday, and the only action they took was they postponed their shareholder meeting, which was set for August 10th. And that's about it. It does look like they're going to bring in outside counsel to help with the investigation. But I thought that was a pretty weak response from the board of directors myself. You would think a little bit more strongly stated of I don't know. I feel like in a situation like this, when there's multiple credible accounts, which seems like that's the case here, you do we'll do a suspension while we investigate. I feel like that's kind of where people have settled on. At least it seems whenever I see companies doing that, we're going to suspend while we investigate these claims, and we'll do it as quickly as possible so that, the individual's not just sitting in limbo. I don't have a problem with that. I always feel like that seems to be the way to go about it. And then if they do their investigation and they determine that no wrongdoing was done, then they bring the individual back and things are fine moving forward. But if their investigation shows that yes, these actions took place, then it's easy to just say, okay, you're done. Don't come back. You're fired. And they did that with what's the guy? Chris Hardwick.
Okay.
They did that with Chris Hardwick. He's the host of Talking Dead, which is a talk show that is about The Walking Dead. Airs after that on A&E. He's got his own talk show on there. He's a huge podcast guy, and one of his ex-girlfriends accused him in an open letter of saying that he was essentially an abusive boyfriend, not physically, but mentally abusive, and he was suspended, and they did their investigation, and they basically found that they couldn't corroborate it, and he hadn't done anything wrong while he was at work, so he got brought back. And I don't see the issue with that. He was, maybe his show didn't debut the day it was supposed to. Maybe it got pushed back a couple of weeks, but in the long run, hey, you were suspended, an investigation was done, and now you're back.
True. And Matt Lauer was pretty much gone right away. And NBC, where he was from NBC, they didn't dance around it either. I mean, the broadcasting women had to go on the air that morning and realize the situation that happened, and they didn't beat around the bush with that. They proceeded ahead. They proceeded forth. He was gone instantly.
Yeah. And I'm a little surprised that we didn't see a little bit more of that from CBS. But there's a difference when you're an employee versus when you're the boss. That is for sure. Even when you are an employee that is making millions and millions of dollars, there's a difference. If you're the chairman and the CEO, I guess you're going to get a little bit more leeway than some of the other people. But he's continuing on. at his normal duties. And from what I can gather anyway, there's really nothing that's going to change for him outside of this outside counsel's coming in to investigate.
Mm-hmm. And, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of Sarah Gilbert, after she came out and said right away that ABC did the right thing with Roseanne and she was gone yesterday. I'm sure that her PR people are having a talk with her on really what to do with this. Because what do you do when your boss now, you already had one show that went the wayside this year. What happens when you're put in that position and it could be your boss in something that could be big like this?
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? What do you do? What do you say? How do you act?
Huge news elsewhere in the entertainment industry. Bonnie, this is right up your alley. All 4 soap operas. All 4 daytime soap operas, The Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, and The Young and the Restless, have come together to say that they will boycott the daytime Emmys unless major changes are made. They've said that they need changes in the voting and accounting practices for the awards and the way the competition is held. They sent a joint letter to the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences chair, and I guess there was, this is in response to a recent gaffe in which Patrika Darbo's 2018's Daytime Emmy for her guest starring role on Amazon soap opera The Bay was rescinded after the agency found submission errors in her and other categories. So, boy, soap opera drama.
I guess so, right? Yeah, The Bold and the Beautiful, and that's an interesting thing. The Bold and the Beautiful, I believe, and The Young and the Restless, even though they take place in 2 totally different climates and towns, I believe The Bold and the Beautiful out in a sunny place like California, and The Young and the Restless is situated around Madison, Wisconsin, where it snows sometime. But they're broadcast right in the same Hollywood studios. Isn't that cool? All of those cast members go together, but they go to their separate places.
Wow.
But all of the actors and actresses in one spot with that one.
Yeah, well, I know the daytime Emmy fans are upset. The major draw of those, I guess, would be the daytime soap operas, which is why I've never seen a thing of the daytime Emmys before. But it's in danger, I guess.
Well, you have the game shows too, and you have The Price is Right, of course, and Let's Make a Deal, which everybody loves. Wayne Brady. You got to tune in for that if you stay home from school.
And then elsewhere in the entertainment industry, James Gunn, one of these guys who had some old tweets dug up where he was tweeting some pretty offensive stuff. He says he was trying to be funny and obviously failed, and it was years ago, and he's changed since then. But the old tweets were dug up. He was fired as writer-director of the massively popular Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And since then, there has been a big groundswell of fans who are demanding that Disney reinstate James Gunn. For his part, James Gunn has been relatively quiet. He apologized again. He had already apologized years ago for these tweets. And when they resurfaced, his comment was basically, look, I was young. I was trying to be provocative. I thought I was being funny. The reality is I was just being offensive. I have learned from that. I was scared about taking the job with Disney because I thought it was going to force me to lose my edge. And I realized as I was doing Guardians of the Galaxy that my edge wasn't something I should have been proud of. And he became a better person from working on those movies. And by all accounts, he's a great person to work with out in Hollywood and just a good person in general. And there's this big groundswell of people that are saying that Disney should put him back as writer-director of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And now the entire cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies have written an open letter, which I think is very well done. And they stopped short of asking Disney to put James Gunn back into the director chair of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but that's definitely where you could tell that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They're very supportive of James Gunn, and it's signed by pretty much the entire cast. It's Chris Pratt, who plays Star-Lord, Zoe Saldana, who plays Gamora, Bradley Cooper, the voice of Rocket, Vin Diesel, the voice of Groot, Dave Bautista, who plays Drax, Karen Gillan, who plays Nebula, Palm Clementine, who plays Mantis, Sean Gunn, who plays one of the side characters there, and Michael Rooker, who plays Yondu. They all signed on, and it's a good read. We'll get into it a little bit more later on this morning, but in terms of asking for people to be forgiven and get their jobs back, normally I don't know how helpful those letters usually are. This one's pretty good.
And if Peter Gunn, he made these tweets a long time ago, people change after time, and people are usually pretty forgiving, and people should be able to recover a little from it. He didn't go out and murder anyone or steal anything, and people can change.
Yeah, we'll have more on that letter a little bit later on this morning. Right now, it's 6:23. We've got Treasure Coast News coming up next. We are now less than a month away from the primaries here in Florida, and many voters here on the Treasure Coast will be single-issue voters. It's not the economy, it's not taxes, it's not immigration, the Supreme Court seat, or the wall. It's the river, stupid. WPTV's Amy Littman spoke with several voters who said the water quality is at the top of their mind as they prepare to vote.
Well, the people I talked to out here in Martin County tell me the state of the St. Lucie River, the water around here, its past, its future, all have to do with how they will fill in these bubbles come the primary election on August 28th and then the general midterm election in November.
Our mission is to speak out, get involved, and raise awareness.
It all started with a lemonade stand.
We wanted to give it to charity or something.
That's how Evie Flaw got into the fight for clean water, eventually creating the young activist group, the River Kids.
We've really gotten to speak to politicians, get to know them, get to know their policies.
But now Evie feels like she can do even more because she can vote.
We've been fighting for this for so long and telling the adults to you need to listen to us, and now we're the adults that can really make the difference.
She says she won't vote based on party. She's voting based on water quality policies.
That's a huge thing. That's one of the biggest things I'm most excited for voting.
Evie isn't alone. A recent poll from Florida Atlantic University found 2/3 of voters are concerned about toxic algae blooms.
It really impacts people's lives of this community, and they have questions. They want to understand why health and human safety is not prioritized.
That's why local grassroots organization Bull Sugar has been meeting with candidates on both sides of the aisle to inform them about voters' concerns.
Any candidates that want to visit, we'll sit down with them and go through the issues, because good politicians want to learn a lot.
The Treasure Coast Democratic Environmental Caucus told me that they are endorsing specific candidates based on their water quality policies, and they have been hosting events with them as well, and they've been teaching them about their main concerns. And then the Martin County Republican Party told me they have been having events and using social media to connect voters with candidates. Amy Littman, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Water activists are coming off of a big Sunday event in Stuart. While many were downtown enjoying the green market at the Rock and Riverwalk concert, this group took the time to talk to people about the algae and the importance of voting.
Most people are aware, but just generally aware, and they're not really sure, about the whole how it happens and where it comes from.
But some people don't read that every day or watch it every day, so it's a really good idea to spread the awareness any way we can.
Well, the group says they plan to do the same thing every Sunday. Meanwhile, the Army Corps of Engineers are holding a series of public meetings and are accepting public comments about the Lake Okeechobee Watershed Restoration Project, which is designed to capture, store, and redistribute water entering the northern part of Lake Okeechobee. The first meeting is tonight in Lehigh Acres. The second meeting is tomorrow night at the Wolf High Technology Center of Indian River State College in Stuart. The final meeting is Thursday at the Williamson Conference and Education Center of Indian River State College in Okeechobee. The meetings are scheduled to run from 6 to 8 p.m. If you can't make one of the meetings, you can email your comments to Okeechobee Watershed Restoration at usace.army.mil. That's a look at our Treasure Coast news here this morning. It is 6:28.
And this morning, we don't see any accidents out on the roads. Stewart and Port St. Lucie, both areas looking clear. Call us if you see traffic right here at 220-WSTU.
Treasure Coast weather.
77 in Stewart, and brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Roofers who respond, call 287-2829.
Taking a look at sports here this morning, the Marlins up in Atlanta. The Marlins scoring early. They scored 2 runs in the top of the first, but Atlanta would battle back. They tied it in the bottom of the second, and then Freddie Freeman hit a go-ahead home run in the 3rd inning. Ronald Acuna Jr. also went deep as the Braves beat the Marlins 5-3. The teams will have 2 more games, as that was the first of a 3-game series up in Atlanta. Game 2 in the series is tonight at 7:35. Elsewhere in baseball yesterday, the Red Sox and Phillies had a marathon game. Blake Swihart doubled into the Red Sox bullpen to score Eduardo Nunez in the 13th inning, as Boston beat the Philadelphia Phillies 2-1 Monday night to move a season-high 6 games ahead of the New York Yankees in the AL East. Meanwhile, the Twins edged the Indians 5-4. The Cardinals over the Rockies 5-4. That game went 10 innings. And the Mariners shut out the Astros 2-0. Miami Dolphins camp yesterday. A lot of talk about wide receiver Devontae Parker. The team hopes he can be a star in this upcoming season, but he has been nearly invisible for the first week of camp. Writer Omar Kelly with the Sun Sentinel is taking an optimistic look at that situation. He says Devontae Parker's been invisible because of cornerback Xavier Howard, who's establishing a reputation as a shutdown cornerback because of his play in camp. We'll see how that shakes out as the season goes. You're listening to Mike Abani in the morning. That's a look at sports. More of local Treasure Coast news, weather, traffic coming up next.
I saw some concerts recently. I saw Leonard Skinner. This is ASU. I'm a true dirtball. I'm telling you, I get back to my dirtball roots. Saw Leonard Skinner just because I wanted to hear my one favorite song by them. But I'm going to sit there for 2.5 hours because God forbid they open with Freebird. It's going to be a trampling getting out of there. Wait, we got some other stuff. Every other song they sing should be called Not Freebird because that's what it is. Here's another one that's not Freebird. I saw the Eagles. They had the sheer balls to open with Hotel California. They're like, oh, yeah, we'll open with it. We don't care. We got 2,000 songs we can follow. And that was fun because they were great. But you know what? They made the mistake of trying to incorporate our city into their song because dips like me get impressed that they can read our town off the back of a mic stand. So they go out on a dark Arizona highway. But then they keep milking it. Cool Scottsdale wind in my hair. It's still us, dude. My friend lives in Scottsdale. Warm smell of Sun Devil Stadium. All right, we get it. Get off.
MTV has announced it's working on a new reality show with Lindsay Lohan. Well, she's been working on it for years. MTV just decided to start filming it.
A woman called 911, said a large black man was breaking into the house.
Not only is Ving Rhames your neighbor, he's a super famous person. Really? You don't recognize the guy who's been in all these Hollywood movies? No, that doesn't tip you off? Or is his neighbor really dumb and that's why he called the cops? They're just like, hello, 911? The guy from Pulp Fiction is robbing a house. Yeah, it looks like he's using some kind of key to break open the locks. Please hurry. And by the way, have you seen Ving Rhames? You don't need to worry about him getting robbed. Look at that dude. If anything, you should call 911 for the guy who made the mistake of breaking into Ving Rhames' house. Should be like, hello, 911? Someone's about to die.
Alex Trebek is hinting that he might retire from Jeopardy in 2020. When asked what he'll do in retirement, Trebek said, what is start drinking at noon?
6:43 here on this Tuesday morning. Let's go ahead, take a trip back throughout this day in history with Bonnie.
We're going to go to the year 1928 when we had MGM Lion roaring for the very first time.
Really?
This was Leo the Lion, and he roared at the beginning of the studio's first talking movie called White Shadows in the South Seas.
Ooh.
And there was only one word of dialogue in the entire film, and that word was hello.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
One word of dialogue in the entire movie.
In the entire movie, yes. Mm-hmm. And 47 years ago, James Taylor's version of Carole King classic, You've Got a Friend, hit number 1 on the charts. That was 1971.
But that's not the You've Got a Friend in Me, right?
Nope.
That's a totally different song.
Mm-hmm. It's completely different. You've Got a Friend in Me came out years later. And maybe You've Got a Friend in Me just kind of like more children-like, just a little more fun. Because You've Got a Friend is kind of like, it's a slower kind of ballad, first done by Carole King and then done by James Taylor.
Yeah, but I think James Taylor also did You've Got a Friend in Me. I think he did a version of that.
Did he?
I think he did.
He might have. If he did, I did not hear it.
And it threw me off when I was trying to go back through and I was listening to You've Got a Friend. And I was like, oh, this is the song from Toy Story. And oh, no, it's not. It's not happy at all.
I don't. I've never heard James Taylor on that one. Just the other fella singing.
I might be wrong.
I think he's a black guy that might be singing that one. You've Got
Randy
a Friend
Newman?
in Me, Randy Newman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. This was an awesome day for music in 1976 when Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper came out. The same day that Orleans' Still the One was released.
Still the One.
You're Still the One. That makes me smile.
Oh, okay.
Very upbeat. 34 years ago, in 1984, the U.S. men's gymnastic team upset China to win the team gold medal at the L.A. Summer Olympics. And they won thanks to perfect 10 performances by Tim Daggett, Bart Connor, and Mitch Gaylord that year in 1984.
All right.
And 1991, President Bush and Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev signed the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty in Moscow. They used pens made of metal from nuclear missiles that were destroyed under a 1987 treaty.
That's cool.
That is.
But I don't know if I would want to hold a pen that used to be a atomic weapon.
Right.
I might want to have a Geiger counter handy before I get near that pen.
Yeah, you don't know the repercussions. You might get some radiation going on there or something.
I don't want to get, mutant hands here just because I signed a bill.
8 years ago in 2010, Alicia Keys married producer Swizz Beatz on the island of Corsica.
All right.
And Ray Rice on this date in 2014 publicly apologized for his domestic violence incident where he dragged his future wife out of the elevator.
What a bum.
He said, quote, "This is not who I am as a man and
Yes, it is.
not who my mom raised me to be. I let so many people down for 30 seconds of my life that I can't take back." The quote from Ray Rice.
The video on that is so violent. I don't know if that's just a situation of somebody losing their cool for 30 seconds. I just can't imagine hitting anyone that violently, especially the person who I'm supposedly in love with. I mean, that is one of the most violent hits I've seen. But then again, what do you think domestic violence looks like? You've got these big football players that are 250, 300 pounds, and they're beating up on their girlfriends, it's probably going to look violent just like that. And I will never forgive the head of the Ravens and the organizations, the people who managed it, because they first heard about it and they were like, oh yeah, well, we're going to put this light penalty on Ray Rice. I don't even remember what it was. It was laughably short. I don't even know if he missed time or if he did. It was only a game or two. And it wasn't until the video came out that he actually faced any type of real punishment for what he did. And everybody screwed up in that, from the NFL right down to the Ravens organization. It was a mess.
And maybe to his future wife, because I do recall her taking him back quite rapidly.
That's on them. That's on her. That's on them. That's a personal relationship
very
between
forgiving.
the two of them. I personally don't know why she would, but I don't know either of them personally. I do know that it's a lot easier for me to criticize the team and the league for the way they handled it than to go after somebody's personal relationship like that.
I wonder if this NFL season, if we're going to go pretty much drama free.
Yeah, right. They're already bickering with you got the president chirping at him. You've got the head of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, is already in trouble for speaking his mind. It's a mess. Used to be that sports was the place you could go where at least you could talk sports. You could go to Thanksgiving and be like, oh God, I don't want to talk politics. I don't want to talk this. I don't want to talk anything. Let's talk sports. Sports is the safe haven for us to talk about. It's a place for us to go and escape the terror and the drama of regular world. And now even that's tainted.
Yeah, the guys just kind of want to go to their man cave and enjoy a football game. They don't want to sit and watch The Young and the Restless. 20 years, isn't that right? 20 years ago in 1998, Nicolas Cage received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Nicolas Cage. And we first saw him in Valley Girl is one of the earliest movie I remember him in. Oh, he was so sweet in that.
He's a weirdo.
And he also was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Not a very big part. He was overshadowed by Sean Penn, but you can see glimpses of Nicolas Cage in that movie too.
Mm-hmm.
Birthdays, we have BJ Novak, who's 39.
Yeah, The Office and other stuff that I don't know.
And J.K. Rowling is 53.
Author of Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
How old is she?
She's 53.
Oh, I thought you said 33. I was like, that's not right.
Did I say 33?
No, I don't think you did.
Maybe I did.
I just heard 3.
I wasn't paying attention.
53 is a lot more appropriate.
And
she's rich.
Yeah.
Rich.
Mm-hmm.
There's rich. There's wealthy. And then there's can own islands, and she's probably rich enough to buy the island of Great Britain.
Yeah, she's probably more rich than the leader of Facebook by now. He went down to number 6, and we were all crying about it last week.
Well, she's not that rich.
Okay.
I think he's what, 6th richest person in the world.
Yeah, he is.
I think J.K. Rowling is she's either the richest female or something in that regard. I don't know exactly, because Oprah's up there too.
Yeah,
it's hard to get past Oprah money.
It is Oprah, and now Kylie Jenner too is one of the wealthiest. They say she's self-made.
I don't know how you could claim she's self-made, and I know that they do, but she's from a famous family.
Yeah,
she's got the leg up.
She sort of had an edge and a little bit of a head start.
There was a TV show based on her house.
Mm-hmm.
Of course she got a leg up. Famous last name. That's all it takes.
And Wesley Snipes too is turning 56 today. And happy birthday to Wesley.
When is he going to work again?
I don't know.
Lord knows he needs the money.
Maybe he can make a movie with Nicolas Cage.
Maybe.
I
haven't seen Nicolas Cage in anything that was decent for a while.
No, not for like a really, really long time. He really was like on top of his ball game, like back in 2009. I liked him in The Family Man, where he played like a meteorologist situated in Chicago. That was a beautiful story.
I'm having a hard time thinking of a Nick Cage movie that I really like.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had movies of his that I'm like, yeah, that was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm having a hard time thinking of movies of his that was like, oh yeah, that was a good movie.
Well, try Valley Girl. Look up Valley Girl.
I don't think that one's going to make the cut for me.
For sure.
The Rock was good.
Mhm.
Sean Connery. That was one of his first ones. Face Off's good. But these are like those 90s action movies that you watch on a Saturday afternoon now. And it's more nostalgic than it's a good movie.
But for a beautiful movie, really, it's kind of like a chick flick. Check out The Family Man. It's like a rather nice movie for the ladies.
All right.
July 31st already, and birthdays and back in the day.
6:52 is the time right now. Treasure Coast News coming up next. The fires in California continue to rage, and now help is coming from all parts of the country, including from all the way here in Florida. WPTV's Alex Hagan spoke with members of the Florida Forest Service who are preparing themselves in case they get the call to head west.
Here in Florida during the wet season.
Right now, since I've been out, it looks pretty devastating on the news.
Raymond Kirkland sees the images and remembers his trip out west.
Out there, they have high winds, so that's definitely a big issue.
Total devastation over there is something, unimaginable.
Brian Torres tries to come to grips with what firefighters are dealing with.
See over there, I just can imagine what's going on, just evacuating all those people. And now you're turning an incident into another incident because all these people need to go somewhere.
The situation's so intense, the Florida Forest Service has already sent firefighters, including several from our area, along with equipment.
I'll be going available around August 10th.
Both Raymond and Brian may be going soon.
Go available in approximately 2 or 3 weeks.
A grueling task for any firefighter. Long walks, no sleep, constant battling. This is a 45-pound pack. A good example of what firefighters are required to carry out west while fighting fires in California.
And all of our supplies we need for the 16-hour shifts. That's normally pretty mandatory out there.
But it's all about doing your duty like fighting fires here in the wet season. Mitigation.
Sort of gives a protective barrier as well.
Protecting lives and homes near and far is what's most important.
We had individuals come from other states to help us out. So
in Vero Beach,
one hand helps the other. So I like to go out there and give it back.
Alex Hagan, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Florida Senator Bill Nelson is joining with a colleague in calling on the Federal Trade Commission to investigate the company blamed for mismanaging Florida's SunPass and electronic toll systems in 6 other states. Conduit has been accused of billing customers for inaccurate toll charges, late fees, and penalties. Senator Nelson and Senator Gary Peters of Michigan say if drivers are being hurt financially, the FTC should hold the vendor accountable and prevent it from doing further harm. Earlier this month, the Florida Department of Transportation announced it would suspend contract payments for Conduit after it botched a $287 million upgrade of the SunPass system. And a construction project is going on slightly longer than originally planned. The closure of Edwards Road at Oleander Avenue has been extended until August 10th. Crews hope to have the intersection open before the start of school. The closure is because of a culvert failure from Hurricane Irma. A detour will divert traffic from Edwards Road to US 1 down to Virginia and then back to Oleander. That's your Treasure Coast News. It's 6:56.
Out on the roadways right now throughout Martin County and St. Lucie County, things are clear. We don't have any traffic accidents to report right now, and if you see any, let us know about it. We're at 220-9788, 220-WSTU.
Treasure Coast weather.
77 in Jensen Beach, and in Fort St. Lucie it's 75. Let's get more on the forecast. Here's Glenn Glazer at WPTV.
President Trump welcomes Italy's prime minister at the White House.
The United States has a very large deficit, as usual, with Italy.
West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin meets with Trump Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh.
Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan would increase government health care spending by $32.6 trillion over 10 years.
Georgia Congressman and civil rights leader John Lewis has been released from a hospital in Atlanta.
There's 17 major fires going currently in California.
The National Interagency Fire Center says combined wildfires have scorched 4.5 million acres since the start of the year.
LeBron James calls it one of the greatest moments of his life. His foundation helping to open an elementary school.
A country music record.
If it's meant to be, it'll be, it'll be.
That song, Meant to Be by Florida Georgia Line and Bebe Rexha's #1 on Billboard's Hot Country chart for 35 weeks.
15 people went to the hospital from serious exposure to ammonia after a leak at a Bird's Eye food plant in Wisconsin.
No American Airlines flights took off nationwide for about 40 minutes because of the outage at the carrier's main operations center.
Well, good morning. 7:08 is the time here on this Tuesday morning. And if you haven't done so yet, please head on over to facebook.com/WSTU1450 and like us on there. We're going to be posting some great content there throughout the rest of the week and hopefully the many weeks to come. But right now, we're taking a look here. IGN.com, the website, has released a list of their 100 best movie moments of all time. There's some good stuff on here. Of course, we can't go through the entire 100, but there's some interesting things on here. I do have the entire top 10. Bonnie, I know we asked people on Facebook what they said that their best movie moments were, and we got at least one response for Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which probably is pretty much the entire movie, because that entire movie's one of the most quotable movies I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. Did you see that movie at all?
It's been like a long time.
Oh man, I love that with the knights that go what? The knights that go knee as they hop around and they've got the little things and they clop the coconuts together to make the horse sounds. There's some classic moments from that movie. That was a good one. Thanks, Mark, for submitting that there on Facebook. If you've got any other best movie moments, you can go to facebook.com/WSTU1450. What are your favorite movie moments, Bonnie? Let's see if some of them made the list.
Mine is from Jerry Maguire when
I Can't Quit You.
When Renee Zellweger, she's almost crying and he's almost crying, and she says, "You had me at hello." And then Secret Garden starts playing by Bruce Springsteen. That's such a memorable movie moment.
All right, so I Can't Quit You. That was the wrong movie I quoted there. You Had Me at Hello, of course. That's the Jerry Maguire one. What's the I Can't Quit You?
I'm not really familiar with that
It's
one.
Brokeback Mountain.
Oh.
Oops.
But also from Jerry Maguire, there's Show Me the Money, when Cuba
Yeah.
Gooding is on the phone with him and he's dancing up and down and saying, "Show me the money, Jerry."
I know that Jerry Maguire's a rom-com, but I like that movie.
Mhm.
I haven't seen it in probably 20 years, but I liked that movie when it first came out. I think for me, my biggest movie moment was The Avengers. And I had grown up wanting to see that type of connectivity with the superhero movie, because we'd sit there and you'd watch a Spider-Man movie and it'd be great, but I would always leave going, wouldn't it be great if just you could see the Fantastic Four, the Baxter Building in the background, and maybe the Human Torch scorching across the sky, because that's what it was like in the comics. You know,
Yeah.
you'd read the comics and any character could pop up at any time, and it was always amazing when they did. And I would always say, why can't these movie studios sign these actors to the character and say, for the next 10 years you're going to be Spider-Man, for the next 10 years you're going to be Mr. Fantastic, the Human Torch, whatever. And they didn't quite do that, because I don't think that's how the industry works, but they did start signing people, of course, more to the characters and say, okay, you will be Peter Parker in 6 films.
Yeah.
Not necessarily 6 Spider-Man films. You could be used in any number of combination. And so the Avengers was the culmination of that back in 2012. And there's a scene in that movie that gives me tingles every time I watch it. And it's when the Avengers first kind of team up and start fighting the bad guys.
Oh, yeah.
At the end, the battle for New York. And there's a one shot that the director throws in there where he's just, without any cuts, he's showing the Hulk fighting all these different people, and he's jumping around, and then he jumps onto a thing, and the Thor's there, and Thor and Hulk fight together a little bit, and then Thor flies over and uses his lightning, and after the lightning chain you see Hawkeye, and Hawkeye does his thing, and then Iron Man comes swooping in, and the camera pans over and follows him for a little bit, and he shoots his laser beams off of the shield for Captain America, and just, it was so comic booky, and it was everything that I had wanted.
Yes.
And it gives me chills to this day. That one shot from the original Avengers movie is probably my number one movie moment of all time.
That's awesome, Mike.
I love that one.
Everything you want to see in an action film with your favorite characters coming together.
Didn't make the top 10 though. The 10, I think these are all pretty good ones. The gruesome chest burster scene from Alien.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a classic movie
Right?
moment. When that thing pops out, oh God, what's happening? I've never seen anything like this.
No, it's like nothing you've ever seen on film before.
Even though I was born after that movie came out, watching that scene for the first time just grossed me out.
Mhm.
Oh, it was terrible. Casablanca, here's looking at you, kid.
Oh, yeah.
1942, classic.
Mm-hmm.
Gone with the Wind. What scene do you think they chose from Gone with the Wind?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
That's right. E.T. the Extraterrestrial was at number 7, the flying bike scene.
I know. I still want to go on the ET ride if they still have it at Universal or Islands of Adventure.
It's at Universal Studios. I think they still have it.
I could, just picture that ride. You're probably flying. You're probably riding on a bike, right?
You
And
are.
flying.
It's an interesting ride. I mean, it's definitely old. I think it's one of the original rides that they had there at the park.
Mhm.
So it's older. It's not like the Spider-Man ride or the thrill coasters like Hulk or Harry Potter or anything like that. But it's still good. And the thing I like about it the most is a good chunk of that line, you're inside. And it's air conditioned. So you're in a theme park on a hot summer day.
Yeah.
Go on ET because you're going to cool off.
And
That's
you'll
for
be
sure.
flying on a bike. Sounds like my kind of ride.
The shower scene from Psycho is number 6.
Oh,
Best
yeah.
movie moment of all time. Hard to argue with that one.
It's very hard. That's one of the most memorable out of the horror film classics. That's for sure.
Jaws was number 5. And much like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I think that you could choose almost the entire movie from Jaws to put it in,
Mhm.
because there's so many classic moments.
Oh, yeah.
The-
It's so like old, like that old feel and classic about it.
the opening scene of the lady swimming in the water and the shark getting her there at the beginning.
The scenes of the people on the beach.
Yeah,
up in
get out
Maine.
of the water. Get out of the water. And it's just some brat kid with a shark dorsal fin, swimming around, scaring people. You've got the final shots of the shark getting blown up. You've got the scene, one of my favorite scenes from the movie, probably my favorite scene from the movie, is when they're all sitting in the boat after, it's nighttime. They've been hunting for the shark, and the captain starts talking about how he survived the USS Indianapolis sinking, and all the sharks eating all the people.
Make your spine all prickly? I mean, just give me goosebumps.
Eyes roll back. It's just such a classic scene. But the one that they singled out from Jaws to put on this list, we're going to need a bigger boat. That's a classic moment.
That tells you that there's this is more than a shark out there. This is Jaws, and this is like one heck of a big monster shark.
Yeah,
gives you chills.
I like this list because there's a lot of older stuff on it that everybody's seen. Taxi Driver. You talking to me?
With De Niro, yeah.
You talking to me? You must be talking to me because I don't see anybody else here. Citizen Kane was number 3. Do you know the scene from that?
I don't. I'm not really familiar with that movie.
Rosebud. He's dying, whispering Rosebud.
What's Citizen Kane all about? I'm not real familiar with it. I know of it.
It's released in 1941. It's about, I believe, a newspaper tycoon. I mean, I watched this in high school.
Oh, okay.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
A very old one, huh?
Yeah, and I forget exactly how it all plays out, but he keeps talking about Rosebud, and I think it's supposed to be either his biggest regret or something that he remembered fondly, and then you find out at the end that it's a wagon of his from when he was a kid, Rosebud. And I think the scene that they're talking about is I'm pretty sure he's dying at the end, and he whispers Rosebud as his last words, and then that's when you realize that it was his wagon, his childhood wagon.
Wow, what a moment. That would be memorable. Yes, that sounds very, very deep, very heavy, very deep.
The Godfather got number 2.
I'll make you an offer I can't refuse. Make him an offer I can't refuse.
Do they have that in the Godfather video game?
I think they do. I know they got to have that somewhere.
I've got to have it somewhere in
classic one that came in pretty early in the Godfather in that movie from 1972.
Yeah, The Godfather Part 1.
Don Corleone.
That's right.
And I think that phrase might have been used in an earlier movie. I think that wasn't the first time that phrase was used.
Okay.
And when it was first used, I think it was meant to be more of when you give an offer you can't refuse, it's money. Money was the offer, but in this one it was replaced like being more of a threat. The threat was the offer.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I want you to rest well, and a month from now this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. Now, just go outside, enjoy yourself, and forget about all this nonsense.
That's at the scene with the party, right? He's doing some type of big party at the house, and they got to go into the office to do business for a little bit.
Yeah, and he's pretty sure he's saying, we're going to get you in this movie, boy. Yeah, that big Hollywood producer, we're going to make him the offer he can't refuse. You're going to be in it.
And the number 1 greatest movie moment of all time, according to the website IGN.com.
Of all time?
Of all time. Number 1 best movie moment of all time.
If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough.
He told me you killed him. No. I am your father.
Oh my God.
He said what? It's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings, Luke. You know it's not impossible. What a great scene.
And then you have Murray Povich coming in saying, you are not the father.
No, he was the father.
I know.
He very much was the DNA proves conclusively that that Darth Vader is the father. The interesting thing is nobody on set knew that was what the line was. So, because remember, Darth Vader was voiced by James Earl Jones. There was a different guy in the suit.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
boy.
the only people that knew when they were filming that he was saying, "I am your father," was Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, and the director. I think that's it. I don't think there was anybody else on set that knew that was what was actually being said. James Earl Jones, of course, recording his lines later. What did the actor who was in the suit say on set, and what did everybody else think that Darth Vader was supposed to say there?
I am not the father.
No, I killed your father.
Oh.
Obi-Wan didn't tell you, but I killed your father, which doesn't make any sense because I'm
No.
pretty sure Obi-Wan said in the first one that Darth Vader killed Luke Skywalker's father. But still,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what he was supposed to say, or that's what everybody else thought he was going to say.
That's an interesting movie fact right there.
And it may or may not be true. Who knows? I saw it on the internet, so it must be true.
You have to believe everything you read on the internet. Everything.
Some other big moments. They had Luke Skywalker. Of course, he was in number 1. He was also in number 100, which I don't agree with this one. The return of Luke Skywalker from Star Wars The Force Awakens. Meh. Why so serious? That Joker scene from The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Was a good one.
With Heath Ledger. Mm-hmm.
Don't Call Me Shirley from Airplane.
Okay.
You don't remember that one?
I don't remember Airplane.
Oh,
I don't
man.
remember Airplane that well.
Airplane's so quotable. Such a classic. I need to go back and watch it again. Surely you can land the plane. Of course I can. And Don't Call Me Shirley. The box of chocolates scene from Forrest Gump.
That was very memorable when he's sitting on the bench with his mother. Or no, he's sitting on the bench telling the lady that my mom always told me that life is like a box of chocolates.
Life is like a box of chocolates.
Very memorable.
A Few Good Men. You know the line.
Yeah, you can't handle the truth.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. What do you want? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Nicholson was so real in that. Like he was larger than life. He should have won an award for that. And playing that. You just wanted to
Did
go
he
in
not?
and maybe he did. You just wanted to go in shake him and kick him out of that courtroom. You got so mad at him. He played it so more than real, larger than life.
A couple more headlines or highlights real quick from the top 100 movie moments of all time. Lady and the Tramp, the spaghetti dinner scene.
Yes, because the dogs, Lady and the Tramp, the dogs are so pretty when they're out in Italy and they're slurping up the long string of spaghetti. That's like one of the most memorable cartoon classics to my notion.
When was the last time you saw Lady and the Tramp?
Years.
I
Years
don't
and years.
remember the last time I saw Lady and the Tramp.
Mhm.
And I watch a lot of Disney movies.
Oh, and they're playing the Italian music too, I believe. That's Amore in the movie, in the scene where
Yeah, because they're at an Italian restaurant. You
Yeah.
get the big Italian guy handing out the food. They got
Mhm.
the nudging the meatball back and forth.
it's just so cute and romantic, classic.
It's a classic scene. Say hello to my little friend from Scarface.
Oh yeah,
Classic moment.
hmm
Wizard of Oz. We're not in Kansas anymore.
Oh, I thought it would be Follow the Yellow Brick Road.
That's also, again, Wizard of Oz has so many moments.
so many moments, so many memorable lines from it. Yes,
But probably We're Not in Kansas Anymore is the most quoted moment from that movie.
when
Wouldn't
she
you think?
realizes it and says, "Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore."
I mean, we say it all the time. Oh, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Or how about a little fire, Scarecrow?
I don't think that one's quoted as much. I don't think that one, it's a good line, but I don't think it makes the list. And then The Exorcist, the head spinning scene from 1973.
How
That's a
can you
classic.
forget that? She did a whole 360
Yeah,
with her
she
head
did.
spinning around.
Yeah, she did. 7:24 is the time this morning. Treasure Coast News is next. Taking a look at our Treasure Coast news here this morning. We're now less than a month away from the primaries here in the state of Florida, and many voters on the Treasure Coast are expected to be single-issue voters. It's not the economy, it's not taxes, it's not immigration, the Supreme Court seat, or the wall. It's the river, stupid. WPTV's Amy Littman spoke with several voters who said the water quality is at the top of their mind as they prepare to vote.
Well, the people I talked to out here in Martin County tell me the state of the St. Lucie River, the water around here, its past, its future, all have to do with how they will fill in these bubbles come the primary election on August 28th and then the general midterm election in November.
Our mission is to seek out, get involved, and raise awareness.
It all started with a lemonade stand.
We wanted to give it to charity or something.
That's how Evie Flaw got into the fight for clean water, eventually creating the young activist group, the River Kids.
We've really gotten to speak to politicians, get to know them, get to know their policies.
But now Evie feels like she can do even more because she can vote.
We've been fighting for this for so long and telling the adults to you need to listen to us, and now we're the adults that can really make the difference.
She says she won't vote based on party. She's voting based on water quality policies.
That's a huge thing. That's one of the biggest things I'm most excited for voting.
Evie isn't alone. A recent poll from Florida Atlantic University found 2/3 of voters are concerned about toxic algae blooms.
It really impacts people's lives of this community, and they have questions. They want to understand why health and human safety is not prioritized.
That's why local grassroots organization Bull Sugar has been meeting with candidates on both sides of the aisle to inform them about voters' concerns.
Any candidates that want to visit, we'll sit down with them and go through the issues, because good politicians want to learn a lot.
The Treasure Coast Democratic Environmental Caucus told me that they are endorsing specific candidates based on their water quality policies, and they have been hosting events with them as well, and they've been teaching them about their main concerns. And then the Martin County Republican Party told me they have been having events and using social media to connect voters with candidates. Amy Littman, WPTV, News Channel 5.
And water activists are coming off of a big Sunday event in Stewart. While many were downtown enjoying the Green Market at the Rock and Riverwalk concert, this group took the time to talk to people about the algae and the importance of voting.
Most people are aware, but just generally aware, and they're not really sure, about the whole how it happens and where it comes from.
But some people don't read that every day or watch it every day, so it's a really good idea to spread the awareness any way we can.
Well, the group says they plan to do the same thing every Sunday. Meanwhile, the Army Corps of Engineers are holding a series of public meetings and are accepting public comments about the Lake Okeechobee Watershed Restoration Project, which is designed to capture, store, and redistribute water entering the northern part of Lake Okeechobee. The first meeting is tonight in Lehigh Acres. The second meeting's tomorrow night here in Stewart at the Wolf High Technology Center for Indian River State College. The final meeting is Thursday in the Williamson Conference and Education Center at Indian River State College in Okeechobee. The meetings are scheduled to run from 6 to 8 p.m. And you can also email your comments to Okeechobee Watershed Restoration at usace.army.mil. The Florida Forest Service is sending more help to California to help that state do battle with wildfires. Ralph Crawford, Florida Forest Service, says this most recent round of assistance is in the form of heavy firefighting vehicles and support personnel.
This past weekend, we sent a strike team of engines, of our Type 6 engines, which are usually what you see us driving around out in the woods, putting water out on fires. We sent 5 of them and a leader and a mechanic.
The vehicles and crews are being assigned to the people battling the Carr Fire in California's Shasta County. That fire has already consumed more than 100,000 acres and claimed at least 6 lives. If you have kids going back to school, you know that there's a lot to prepare for, and it can get pricey. That's where the Back to School Backpack Bash comes in. Free backpacks will be handed out, along with school supplies and even immunizations, all for free. There will also be food, music, face painting, games, and more. The Back to School Backpack Bash is this Saturday from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. at 705 Southeast Tarpon Avenue, across from the Speedy Mart. Gas prices are expected to go up again this week. AAA spokesman Mark Jenkins says it's the middle of summer and demand is at its peak.
People are out driving in large numbers, and so that puts kind of a strain on gasoline inventories. Inventory levels did decline last week, and so that caused gas prices on the stock market to rise, and that in turn caused wholesale prices to increase as well.
Jenkins says drivers should expect pump prices to go up 5 to 10 cents a gallon this week. There are a couple of ways to save on gas consumption. Jenkins says to remove extra weight from your vehicle. An extra 100 pounds is like paying 3 cents more per gallon. And watch your speed. Every 5 miles per hour you drive over 50 is like paying an additional 19 cents per gallon. That's a look at our Treasure Coast News here this morning. The time is 7:31.
Traffic-wise, we don't have anything to report right now. Things are looking good on the highways and side streets. And if you see traffic, give us a call at 220-WSTU.
Treasure Coast weather.
It's 76 in Port St. Lucie, and WPTV weather brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Roofers who respond. Code Red Roofers cares, calls you back, shows up, and finishes on time. Call 287-2829. Let's get the forecast at WPTV.
Take a pause.
A recall for Ragcat cat food. Some of it may be contaminated with listeria, and that can kill cats. How hot is too hot when it comes to pavement and your dog's paws? Veterinarian Matthew Getz in Arizona.
You're going to walk them across the pavement. If you can't keep your hand there for about 5 seconds, it's too hot for your dogs as well.
In North Carolina, someone's been stealing newspapers and dumping them in the backyard of Bob Eubanks.
We picked up as many as 10 papers in one night.
It didn't stop there.
The folks came by and delivered the Yellow Page phone books. The very next morning, there were 9 of those laying in that back area.
That's when Bob got an infrared camera and got pictures of the culprits.
I had no idea we were going to find foxes.
So foxes are stealing newspapers and phone books. When are these animals going to be 21st century foxes and steal some laptops and iPads? Take pause. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Fox on Tech.
The Department of Homeland Security is out with a warning, and it's about the dark web. Criminals are more and more looking to hack into corporate applications. Using research from cybersecurity firms Anapsys and Digital Shadows, DHS says cybercriminals are trying to access enterprise resource planning applications. Often those hold a company's most sensitive data and processes. Hackers are sharing their information not only on criminal forums, but they're also trading them on dark web marketplaces or exploit sites. 2 of the biggest targets, Germany-based SAP and California-based Oracle. An SAP spokesperson telling Fox News that their customers should always implement security patches as soon as they are available to protect their infrastructure. An Oracle spokesperson recommending a similar strategy. The Anapsys Digital Shadows report said there was a 160% increase in public exploits targeting the 2 companies from 2016 to 2017. With Fox on Tech, I'm Joy Piazza, Fox News.
Take a pause.
Taking a look at sports here this morning, the Dolphins, their training camp continues. There was a lot of talk about Ryan Tannehill coming back, and he would be able to throw to his wide receiver, Devontae Parker, who some people are hoping can have a pretty big weekend or a pretty big season coming up. But Devontae Parker's been largely absent from training camp. He's been getting the targets. He just hasn't been able to come down with many catches. We'll have to keep an eye on that as the Dolphins move through training camp. Elsewhere, the Braves up hosting the Miami Marlins in Atlanta. The Marlins scored early in this game. They scored 2 runs in the top of the first to take a 2-0 lead, but Atlanta quickly tied it in the bottom of the second. Then in the third inning, Freddie Freeman hit a go-ahead home run. Ronald Acuna Jr. also went deep, and the Atlanta Braves ended up beating the Miami Marlins 5-3. That was the first of a 3-game series between the Marlins and the Braves. Game 2 is tonight. First pitch scheduled for 7:35. Elsewhere, Red Sox got another win. It just took him 13 innings to get there. Blake Swihart double. 2-1 Monday night to move to a season-high 6 games ahead of the New York Yankees in the AL East. Elsewhere, Mariners shut out the Astros 2-0. Giants and Padres also went to extra innings. They needed 12 innings before the Giants' Gorkis Hernandez hit a go-ahead home run to lead off the 12th as the Giants got a 5-3 win. That's a look at sports on WSTU.
It's easier to be a guy anyway. I mean, there's sexism, but just the day-to-day life of being a woman, honestly, it looks too hard. Just hair, what some women have to deal with, cut and color and goos and potions. What do most guys have to deal with their hair? Not having a mullet. That's all a guy has to do is not have a mullet, A+. And there's still some guys that can't pull that off. It's easier to be a guy. Makeup, some women wear makeup. Most guys don't change their pants because their belt's in there. Are these jeans dirty? Is there a belt in there? Ask me in 2019. And I'm not saying women are doing any of these things to please or impress a man, but some of it's self-inflicted, like the eyebrow thing. I mean, that's on you, ladies. There's not a person on this planet that's sitting there going, I'm looking for someone who's removed 90% of their eyebrow hair. I don't even know what some of these ladies are going for. It's like, I want to look constantly surprised. Like I'm about to eat a baby.
First, it was Russia didn't interfere in the election. Then it was, okay, they did. But nobody on the Trump team met with them. Then it was, okay, they did. But it was just about adoptions. Then it was, okay, they offered us dirt on Hillary, but there was no collusion. Now no collusion. Collusion is not a crime. What's next? Okay, collusion's a crime, but it's just a little crime. Then it'll be, since when are crimes illegal?
The man is a liar, a proven liar. There's no way you're going to bring down the president of the United States on the testimony, uncorroborated, of a proven liar. One of the biggest liars in America. The guy is unethical. He's a scumbag. He's a horrible person.
Which is why President Trump hired him in the first place. That's why he's here. Let's be honest.
Let me just play for you the things that you have said about Michael Cohen, who you are now going after in no uncertain terms.
The man is an honest, honorable lawyer. Michael's not going to lie. He's going to tell the truth. The man is a pathological manipulator, a liar.
Okay, so which one is it?
So George Washington would have said that about Benedict Arnold at a certain point in time. What the heck are you picking on me for saying he was an honest, honorable man?
Yeah, what are you picking on me for? Your beef is with past Giuliani. He's the guy you want, not me.
The new Mission Impossible won the box office this weekend, bringing in over $60 million. Wow. They've already come up with the plot for the next Mission Impossible, getting Rudy Giuliani to stop talking. It's very interesting.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He's just going to go out there and keep talking as long as they shine a camera on him. Today is July 31st. We have 3 foods. All of them are bad for you, but pretty tasty. It is National Raspberry Cake Day.
Okay.
Are we talking like raspberry cake? Are we talking the cake itself is raspberry flavored, or is it like a vanilla cake with raspberry filling kind of in between the layers?
Maybe it could be both of them, but my first guess would be is that the cake is flavored with the raspberry, the actual cake itself.
I don't think I'm interested in that then. If it was a white cake with a raspberry filling, I'd be all over it.
Okay.
But a raspberry flavored cake
With
no.
maybe a white topping filling, like with some
No.
cream cheese filling on top. That it'd be
No.
very sweet for one
I
thing.
don't like cream cheese
It
fillings.
would
that
give
much.
your sugar buzz. You'd get your sugar high for the day.
I like the whipped topping. When you go to get a cake from the store, I don't like what are the two type of toppings that you can get? The whipped, and what's the other one?
You can get the Betty Crocker
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking
right
about
out of the jar.
That's not what I'm talking about. National Raspberry Cake Day. It is also Jump for Jelly Beans Day. I feel like that should be around Easter. That should be Easter, not July 31st.
Yeah,
'Cause who eats jelly beans in the middle of July?
It should be either Easter or it should be like Halloween. I really love the gourmet jelly beans, though, that you can find where they have just like absolutely every marvelous flavor just packed into that one little jelly bean is packed full of flavor. Jelly bellies.
And it is also Cotton Candy Day.
Oh, cotton candy would be originally called fairy floss.
That's doesn't help. Cotton candy's better, I think.
No, it was called fairy floss at one time.
Well, I believe you. I'm just saying. I
Yeah.
think cotton candy's a better name.
It sounds better. And I wish they had some like a gourmet cotton candy place around here.
How could gourmet cotton candy could you get?
Well, they make some gourmet cotton candy now that you can even serve like at weddings with flavors like champagne cotton candy,
That'd be interesting.
marshmallow, pina colada. They have blue raspberry cotton candy.
Eh.
And then this might not be gourmet, but I was at a gas station in DeLand when we last went up there, and they had a bag of Dr. Pepper cotton candy.
I'd try it.
I would try it too. I didn't try it at the time because I didn't have a taste for it. And then when I have a taste for the cotton candy, I don't have it around.
I'm more
Go figure.
intrigued about the champagne cotton candy. I'd be really interested in trying that out. I was at there's a cidery up in Fort Pierce where they make all their own apple ciders, and they had one called America Dry, and it tastes like champagne.
Ooh.
It was delicious. I drank some of it and I went, I could get a case of this for New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
I would enjoy drinking this on New Year's. It tastes fantastic.
Was it on the sweet side, like a very sweet
No,
tasting?
it was dry.
Very
It was
dry.
like a champagne.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. It was good stuff. Now in Hollywood, very few people start at the top, but some of them start as close to the bottom as you can get. And when you do that, you've got to work your way up no matter how hard it takes. And usually that involves going on some form of game show. The dating game was a popular stepping stone for some future stars in the 60s and 70s. Guys like John Ritter, Suzanne Summers, Farrah Fawcett was on the dating game.
Did she have to be on the dating game? She's
I know.
actually she's Farrah.
She seems gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I turned down Farrah Fawcett on the dating game. Michael Jackson was on there.
Oh, that's
but
hard
he
to
had to
believe.
have been famous by that point
Mm-hmm.
because he was famous from when he was a young kid.
He was like a little boy, a 5-year-old, singing along with Tito and the Jackson 5. Yeah, he would have been famous before that. He
Burt-
wasn't dating at 5.
Burt Reynolds was on the dating game. Sally Field, Tom Selleck, Pee Wee Herman,
Whoa.
Steve Martin, and of course, who could forget this classic moment?
Please join me in welcoming to the new dating game the current Mr. Olympia, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay, drill number 2. These are my measurements. Now don't freak out. Biceps 22 inches, chest 57, waist 33, size 29. What do we have in common?
You get smaller as you go down, and then bigger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger sounds so weird in that clip.
He does sound weird. Oh, you know what else is creepy too, Mike? There was a future serial killer actually on, I think it was the dating game too he was on.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Back in the 70s. And yeah, this guy was on the dating game before he became famous. He is still in prison for murder now, and he murdered several gals out in California, and right now he's sporting these glasses and some weird long hair. He looks really, really weird, like an old hippie, But then on the dating game now, I think he actually won. he was chosen.
Really?
And the lady who had picked him out did it.
Was murdered.
She was fine on the show. But after the show, she refused to go on that date with him because something about him later had creeped her out.
He's a serial killer, and some serial killers, they're psychopaths, and they can totally hide it from other people. But others, just you walk by them and you go, "There's a murderer nearby. There's a psychopath in my immediate vicinity, and I know it."
Yeah.
And part of the fun of watching those dating shows is you sit there and go, "That guy's a serial killer." That guy, that contestant number 3 is a serial killer, and that's part of the fun of watching those shows is so that you can scream at the TV, "Sally, don't pick 3. Your life depends on it."
Why do you sound like my better half? That's what he will do sometime.
That's because that's the joy of watching those dating games. That guy murders people for fun. He's a serial killer.
But there is some creepy footage. You could probably go back on YouTube and look up the serial killer of the dating game and actually watch that part of the episode. It is really kind of creepy, but he did have some kind of a swagger, some kind of a sway about him too that caught the ladies' eyes back in the day.
Yeah. Simon Cowell was on a TV show. He was on the British game show Sale of the Century back in 1990.
Oh, was he?
A little bit less arrogant back then. Kirstie Alley was on Match Game in 1979 as a contestant, not a panelist. And 14-year-old future Backstreet Boy AJ McLean did the Nickelodeon show Guts back in 1992. There's a ton of celebrities that got started with game shows. That's just the small taste, but always interesting when you see the old clips of the celebrities there on some of the older game shows. 7:53 is the time right now. We've got Treasure Coast News coming up next. The fires in California continue to rage, and now help is coming from all parts of the country, including from all the way here in Florida. WPTV's Alex Hagan spoke with members of the Florida Forest Service who are preparing themselves in case they get the call to head west.
Here in Florida during the wet season.
Right now, since I've been out, it looks pretty devastating on the news.
Raymond Kirkland sees the images and remembers his trip out west.
Out there, they have high winds, so that's definitely a big issue.
Total devastation over there is something, unimaginable.
Brian Torres tries to come to grips with what firefighters are dealing with.
See over there, I just can imagine what's going on, just evacuating all those people. And now you're turning an incident into another incident because all these people need to go somewhere.
The situation's so intense, the Florida Forest Service has already sent firefighters, including several from our area, along with equipment.
I'll be going available around August 10th.
Both Raymond and Brian may be going soon.
Go available in approximately 2 or 3 weeks.
A grueling task for any firefighter. Long walks, no sleep, constant battling. This is a 45-pound pack. A good example of what firefighters are required to carry out west while fighting fires in California.
And all of our supplies we need for the 16-hour shifts. That's normally pretty mandatory out there.
But it's all about doing your duty like fighting fires here in the wet season. Mitigation.
Sort of gives a protective barrier as well.
Protecting lives and homes near and far is what's most important.
We had individuals come from other states to help us out. So
in Vero Beach,
one hand helps the other. So I like to go out there and give it back.
Alex Hagan, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Florida Senator Bill Nelson is joining with a colleague and calling on the Federal Trade Commission to investigate the company blamed for mismanaging Florida's SunPass and electronic toll systems in 6 other states. Conduit has been accused of billing customers for inaccurate toll charges, late fees, and penalties. Senators Nelson and Gary Peters of Michigan say that if drivers are being hurt financially, the FTC should hold the vendor accountable and prevent it from doing further harm. That's your Treasure Coast News. It's 7:56.
still on the road, so we don't have any accidents to report for this Tuesday morning. Things are looking clear right here. Call us if you see a slowdown. We're at 220-9788, 220-WSTU.
Treasure Coast weather.
Right now we have 78 in Stewart, also 78 in Jensen Beach. Let's hear more on the forecast at WPTV.
WSTU, it is 8:08, and that means it is now time for Sheriff William Snyder 411, where we get the latest on what's going on with the Martin County Sheriff's Office. Now, Sheriff Snyder is not able to join us this morning, but that is A-OK because that gives us an opportunity to speak to the community outreach manager over there with the Martin County Sheriff's Office, Tricia Kukuvka, joining us on the phone line here this morning. Good morning, Tricia.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing pretty well, I would say, here on this Tuesday morning. And I know that we've got a lot of stuff going on. I don't think anything major necessarily happened over the past week, but as always, it seems that vehicle burglaries is a constant thing that we're dealing with here in Martin County.
Yes, week after week, we are always seeing vehicle burglaries occurring in, parking lots of stores or residential neighborhoods. And we just want to keep that reminder out there that people need to be locking their vehicles at night, even during the days, as we see people taking their last minute vacations over the summertime. And we do see an uptick in people that are out of the area in our county. We just want to remind them that, it's very important that they continue to lock their vehicle doors, remove their belongings out of their cars at night, or even when they're not going to be around their vehicles, especially those firearms. People that have those firearms, if they're going to be keeping them in their vehicle, need to remove them and make sure that they are locking their doors.
And how long does it take to become a victim? I mean, if I'm just running into a place, let's say I've got my laptop bag with me and I throw that on the floor of my of the passenger seat there, and I run into the grocery store, grab a couple of items, and then come right back out. If I'm gone for 5-10 minutes, is that long enough to become a victim?
Absolutely. We're talking 10 to 15 seconds. If there's anything that's in plain sight, these criminals nowadays are just using window punches where they'll break the window and you won't even hear the glass break.
Really?
Otherwise, some criminals will just open up the doors, and if they happen to leave it unlocked, it only takes about 10, 15 seconds. And it takes over a period of a night, maybe an hour, for some to hit an entire neighborhood. So it happens pretty quick.
And would you say that people are more at risk when they're parked at home at night, if they park out in their driveway, or if they're out and about during town during the day?
Well, we're seeing the same amount occurring during the day as we are at night at times. And right now it's pretty equal. But a lot of people feel safer at home when their vehicles are parked in their driveway, so they don't think they have to, or they don't feel like they should have to lock up their vehicles. So I would say at night when people are at home and they feel most comfortable.
Interesting. So, I mean, the age-old adage remains true: remove the belongings and lock your car doors, no matter when, whether you're just running inside to the store or you're leaving it in your driveway overnight. And one of the things that I know the sheriff preaches a lot, and it's removing firearms from the vehicle. And I know a lot of people, they don't want them necessarily in the house, but seems like storing them in the car is not the best place for them.
Right, exactly. It's absolutely not the best place for them. Inside, within their houses, with them is where it's safest. You know, these guns are ending up in criminals' hands, and they end up facing our law enforcement and even our citizens on the street.
So vehicle burglary is something we deal with often, but make sure to remove belongings, remove firearms, lock the car doors, and hopefully that should be enough to protect yourself from most of the criminals here. Another thing that's really important is the idea that we should all be watching out for our neighbors and keeping an eye on what's going on around us. And the easy saying for that is see something and say something. And I know the sheriff's talked about that a lot, whether it's big or small, whether it ends up being an actual issue or not. It's always better to report it and be safe rather than sorry.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the biggest things that we preach is if you see something, give the sheriff's office a call, whether you think it's something or not. We would much rather come out and it be absolutely nothing than come out hours later to maybe some houses broken into or a string of vehicle burglaries in the area or maybe a robbery or something in a parking lot somewhere where somebody looked suspicious. We would much rather come out and be nothing than somebody not give us a call and then we have an incident occur a little bit later. We were preaching this all the time because we want people to feel comfortable and safe being able to call us. Even if you don't give your name, we don't have to have your name. Mm-hmm. We don't have to have your phone number. We just want the information to be able to come out and check out to see what's going on.
And a lot of times this can be helpful for making sure that something gets stopped even before it gets started.
Right, absolutely. We want to do that proactive work, and it takes the community alongside with law enforcement to help make that happen. You know, the sheriff's office, we would love to be able to be in every inch of this county as we possibly can, but it's not possible for us to do so. We rely on our residents and the people that are in Martin County to call us and let us know what is going on. That was one of the big reasons that we were able to stop the pillowcase burglars from coming up here, was because our residents were calling on suspicious vehicles and suspicious people in their neighborhoods.
Has the rise in things like outdoor surveillance equipment, video doorbells, things like that, where people are able to get real-time alerts when somebody is on their property and able to know, like, hey, that person's not supposed to be on my property at all. Has that helped with getting these reports out there and increasing the eyeballs on people's neighborhoods, their homes, and their cars?
Sure, absolutely. People know that they're being watched at all times, and especially with these video doorbells, people can talk to somebody that's standing on their doorstep and freaks them out a little bit. So sure, absolutely. People know they're going to be on camera everywhere they go.
Fantastic. Another topic we're looking at here this morning, the new school year is just a couple of weeks away. And of course, there is a lot of stuff that is different this year after the Parkland shooting and all the new rule changes. And so we've talked about the new school year quite a bit, but we've been talking about things like school safety and how to pay for it and how it might be different going to and from schools. But some of the issues that address us every single year for the school year stays the same too. And that's things like school zones and traffic around schools, especially the first couple of days. What are some of the things that parents need to keep in mind as school starts, and us non-parents who might have to drive by schools those first couple of days?
Sure. As far as parents that are sending their kids to schools on the bicycles, make sure that those kids are wearing those helmets. Make sure those helmets are fitted to their heads, even if they're riding scooters. If they are traveling by bike, scooter, or walking, making sure that you're going over with them the rules of the road, making sure that they're crossing when they're supposed to cross. As far as drivers and, everybody that has to go through those school zones, The sheriff's office will be out in those school zones. We will be watching those speeds, so make sure that you know where your school zones are. Bring those speeds down. We don't want any problems in the school zones. And allow yourself some extra time to get to where you need to go, especially if it's going to work. Allow yourself that extra time because, as we all know, the first couple weeks can be a little hectic as we all get into our new schedules and our times of where we need to be. So just take a minute and figure out where your school zones are at, slow down through those school zones, and make sure that you're allowing yourself extra time to get where you need to go.
And you mentioned the helmets for the kids. There is a law in the state of Florida where kids have to wear helmets, right?
I believe so. I believe it's 16. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure it's 16.
That was my understanding as well, that, yeah, you have to be, if you're 16 or under, you have to wear a helmet when you're on a bike or a scooter. So good information there. I can't believe school year is almost starting already. What are we, 2 weeks away?
About two and a half weeks away, yes.
Wow. And then finally here this morning, this is going to be fun. Coming up at the end of August, it's movie night with the sheriff. What's going on with that?
So we try to at least once or twice a year have an outing for the residents and the kids in our community, and we call it Movie Night with the Sheriff. It'll be on Friday, August 24th, between 6 and 9. We will be showing Peter Rabbit this year out at the Grace Place in Stewart.
Nice.
And it's just a great way for people to come out, meet the deputies that work in your areas, meet the sheriff, and learn a little bit about child safety and making sure that, if there's any lines of communications that we need to open up, or if anybody needs to talk to us about anything, that we are there for them to come and talk to us.
Great. How much are tickets?
That is an absolutely free event, and we will be serving free hot dogs and hamburgers.
Free hot dogs and hamburgers? I'm there.
Yeah, perfect.
Book my ticket. All right, Tricia, thanks for giving us a call here this morning, and we look forward to catching up with you guys next week.
Great. Thanks. Have a great week.
You too. That is Tricia Kukufka, Community Outreach Manager there with the Martin County Sheriff's Office. Right now, it is 8:18. We've got Treasure Coast News coming up next. We're now less than a month away from the primaries here in Florida, and many voters on the Treasure Coast will be single-issue voters. It's not the economy, it's not taxes, it's not immigration, the Supreme Court seat, or the wall. It's the river, stupid. WPTV's Amy Lippman spoke with several voters who said the water quality is at the top of their mind as they prepare to vote.
Well, the people I talk to out here in Martin County tell me the state of the St. Lucie River, the water around here, its past, its future, all have to do with how they will fill in these bubbles come the primary election on August 28th and then the general midterm election in November.
Our mission is to seek out, get involved, and raise awareness.
It all started with a lemonade stand.
We wanted to give it to charity or something.
That's how Evie Flaw got into the fight for clean water, eventually creating the young activist group, the River Kids.
We've really gotten to speak to politicians, get to know them, get to know their policies.
But now Evie feels like she can do even more because she can vote.
We've been fighting for this for so long and telling the adults to you need to listen to us, and now we're the adults that can really make the difference.
She says she won't vote based on party. She's voting based on water quality policies.
That's a huge thing. That's one of the biggest things I'm most excited for voting.
Evie isn't alone. A recent poll from Florida Atlantic University found 2/3 of voters are concerned about toxic algae blooms.
It really impacts people's lives of this community, and they have questions. They want to understand why health and human safety is not prioritized.
That's why local grassroots organization Bull Sugar has been meeting with candidates on both sides of the aisle to inform them about voters' concerns.
Any candidates that want to visit, we'll sit down with them and go through the issues, because Good politicians want to learn a lot.
The Treasure Coast Democratic Environmental Caucus told me that they are endorsing specific candidates based on their water quality policies, and they have been hosting events with them as well, and they've been teaching them about their main concerns. And then the Martin County Republican Party told me they have been having events and using social media to connect voters with candidates. Amy Littman, WPTV, News Channel 5.
And water activists are coming off of a big Sunday event in Stuart. While many were downtown enjoying the green market at the Rock and Riverwalk concert, this group took the time to talk to people about the algae and the importance of voting.
Most people are aware, but just generally aware, and they're not really sure, about the whole how it happens and where it comes from.
But some people don't read that every day or watch it every day, so it's a really good idea to spread the awareness any way we can.
The group says they plan to do the same thing every Sunday. Meanwhile, the Army Corps of Engineers are holding a series of public meetings and are accepting public comments about the Lake Okeechobee Watershed Restoration Project, which is designed to capture, store, and redistribute water entering the northern part of Lake Okeechobee. The first meeting is tonight in Lehigh Acres. The second meeting is tomorrow night at the Wolf High Technology Center of Indian River State College in Stuart. The final meeting is Thursday at the Williamson Conference and Education Center of Indian River State College in Okeechobee. The meetings are scheduled to run from 6 to 8 p.m. You can also email your comments to Okeechobee Watershed Restoration at usace.army.mil. The Florida Forest Service is sending more help to California to help that state do battle with wildfires. Ralph Crawford, Florida Forest Service, says this most recent round of assistance is in the form of heavy firefighting vehicles and support personnel.
This past weekend, we sent a strike team of engines, of our Type 6 engines, which are usually what you see us driving around out in the woods, putting water out on fires. We sent 5 of them and a leader and a mechanic.
Well, the vehicles and crews are being assigned to the people battling the Carr Fire in California's Shasta County. That fire has already consumed more than 100,000 acres. If you have kids going back to school, you know that there's a lot to prepare for, and it can get pretty. That's where the Back to School Backpack Bash comes in. Free backpacks will be handed out along with school supplies, even immunizations, all for free. There will also be food, music, face painting, games, and more. The Back to School Backpack Bash is this Saturday from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. at 705 Southeast Tarpon Avenue across from the Speedy Mart. And if you can't make it there, it is the tax-free holiday weekend in Florida. So Friday through Sunday, you can go ahead and buy new school clothes and school supplies, and most of it will be free of that sales tax. The clothing items, the clothes, the shoes, and some accessories will have to be $60 or less in order to be tax-free. School supplies week. AAA spokesman Mark Jenkins says it's the middle of summer and demand is at its peak.
People are out driving in large numbers, and so that puts kind of a huge increase as well.
Jenkins says drivers should expect pump prices to go up 5 to 10 cents a gallon this week. There are a couple of ways to save on gas consumption. Jenkins says to remove extra weight from your vehicle. An extra 100 pounds is like paying 3 cents more per gallon. And watch your speed, because every 5 miles per hour you drive over 50 is like paying an additional 19 cents per gallon. That's a look at our Treasure Coast news here this morning. It's now time for the Precious Metals Report, brought to us by St. Lucie Jewelry and Coin. Gold's opening at $1,220 an ounce, while silver's opening at $15.45 an ounce. The Precious Metals Report, brought to us by St. Lucie Jewelry and Coin.
And it has been a great-looking Tuesday morning, traffic-wise. We haven't had any accidents. We're not seeing any out on the roads now. Things are clear. Things are fine. If you see traffic, call us at 220-9788, 220-WSTU.
Treasure Coast weather.
It's 81 in Stewart, and WPTV weather is brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Roofers who respond. Code Red Roofers cares, calls you back, shows up and finishes on time. Call 287-2829. Let's get more from Glenn Glazer at WPTV.
Space, the final frontier with Randy Siegel and the Space Report on WSTU. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning to you, sir. Well, back in 1971, the first vehicle driven on the moon took place by the crew of Apollo 15 that landed, Dave Scott and James Irwin, on this date in history. Well, a report was issued the other day concerning NASA's agency Aerospace Safety Advisory Panel. They held its quarterly meeting and released a report that basically is saying that they're concerned about the Boeing Starliner because of the failure that they recently had at a critical part. There was a leak at the end of a test of volatile propellants from the thruster system. So the big question is exactly how big of a leak and how critical will it be to repair it? According to Boeing, they issued a statement that they were confident that they found the cause and are moving forward with corrective actions. But how will that impact their launching to the International Space Station with a crew? SpaceX, at the same time, was getting some pats on the back and saying, good job, and things are moving forward with SpaceX and their Crew Dragon to bring crews to the International Space Station. Their first test is expected before the end of the year. Exactly what will happen with Boeing is anybody's guess. And this comes at a time when on Friday, they're going to make the announcement of who the crew members will be on both the Dragon and the Starliner. So far, the best bet is that Eric Boe and Bob Behnken will fly on Dragon, and on Starliner, Sunita Williams and Doug Hurley. and they will be joined by the Boeing astronaut and ex-NASA astronaut Chris Ferguson. So we'll know a whole lot more about that come Friday. The crew aboard the International Space Station continues to give us great science, including a lot of work on cancer therapy. The Angie-X cancer therapy experiment has been going great guns since it arrived on July 2nd inside the Dragon spacecraft. The results of this experiment may improve the design of safer, more efficient therapies targeting cancer cells. NASA astronaut Rick Arnold has been loading the Dragon spacecraft with hardware and science samples ahead of its return to Earth on Friday. Currently, Dragon will be in the grips of the Canadarm2 and released at 12:37 p.m. as Serena Unan Chandler monitors from the cupola. Less than 6 hours later, the commercial space freighter will splash down in the Pacific off the coast of Baja, California, where it will then be picked up, and they will bring it back to land and unload some of these science experiments. Another cargo craft, Northrop's Grumman Cygnus, which was released from the International Space Station on July 15th, is getting ready to splash down harmlessly into the Pacific Ocean at 5:07 p.m. today. Meanwhile, Alexander Gerst of the European Space Agency, he's working in a Columbus lab to help scientists understand how an astronaut's perception of time and distance is affected during and after a mission. Results will help mission planners understand how astronauts adapt to space, impacting the success and safety of long-term space missions. SpaceX is getting ready to christen, if you will, a new drone ship for the Atlantic Ocean. The name of this new drone ship will be a Shortfall of Gravitas. As you know, Elon Musk likes to use exotic names for the drone ships. Just Read the Instructions is out on the West Coast, and of course, I Still Love You is still out on the Eastern Range. All three names come after spacecraft features in Scottish author Ian M. Banks' culture novels. So obviously Musk enjoyed that. China, not stopping their pace, launched a Long March 4B rocket with a GoFan 11 remote sensing satellite. The pair of satellites was launched this morning from China, capping 2 days of Chinese activity in space launches. The European Space Agency is getting ready to launch its first mission to Mercury. That launch is currently expected on October 19th, if all goes well. Liftoff is anticipated to be just about 2:45 in the morning, and the hope is that this spacecraft will go into orbit around Mercury, giving us some of the best views we've had of Mercury. We have had other spacecrafts that have been in orbit, but in this particular spacecraft, they're hoping to get the best pictures ever from the surface of Mercury and learn as much as we can about that planet. NASA is also grappling with major problems of an instrument aboard its new weather satellite. They're having trouble with the availability of infrared and near-infrared channels on the Advanced Baseline Imager instrument on the GOES 17 satellite. They reported the problem 2 months ago, and they have been trying to correct it ever since. Thus far, they're not able to get the channels working properly, and NASA is quite concerned, as well as NOAA, that this particular spacecraft may not give the type of information we need during some of the most important times of the year. A Brooklyn startup company is wanting to make spacesuits. They believe that they can make spacesuits for the next generation of astronauts and potentially for a fraction of what NASA is spending on them. Final Frontier Design is already selling suits for passengers traveling inside a spacecraft for between $125,000 and $150,000. The company is now developing suits that can withstand the pressures of deep space at a retail price less than $2 million apiece. NASA spends almost $200 million developing spacesuits and space travel technology since 2007. An Inspector General's audit last year found that they aren't even fully flight ready. About $12 million of that figure was spent on flight suits currently in testing that astronauts will wear on the Orion deep space spacecraft in the 2020s. So the hope of this new Brooklyn company is that they can produce suits at a much lower cost. Lastly, we want to tell you that the TESS spacecraft, stands for Terrestrial Exoplanet Survey Satellite, has officially started its science mission. The spacecraft launched on April 18th on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, is in its final 13.5-day orbit around the Earth, and has completed the checkout of its cameras. Now it'll start looking out into deep space to find exoplanets. Tomorrow we're going to tell you a little bit more about NASA's audit that they had of the space station, and we're going to give you some more information from the General Accountability's Office on DOD using commercial satellites. So until then, have a great day, everybody.
Randy Siegel with the Space Report here on WSTU. Portions of Mike and Bonnie in the Morning are brought to us by Ellie's Downtown Deli and Catering.
And, you know, Chef Mark, he just has the most amazing fresh jumbo wraps that he prepares for you daily. And always a favorite is the Brie Zen. You get it with the oven gold turkey, yes, brie in this wrap, mozzarella, and tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, sprouts, cranberry mayo in it too. This fresh jumbo wrap is delicious. And enjoy with a homemade side item like fresh fruit, black and green olives, maybe coleslaw, or hearts of palm salad. And you can order it fresh today. And right in the Stewart area, Ellie's Deli will deliver it right to your workplace.
Oh, man, I just went to facebook.com/Ellie's Downtown Deli, and now I'm starving because they just simply posted a picture of what looks like a burrito. Hasn't been folded yet. It's just, you can see the guac, the cheese, the rice, the cilantro, some tomatoes, and a nice piece of what looks like seasoned fish right there with the sour cream. Oh, man, I am hungry, and I need to go to Ellie's Downtown Deli and Catering to fix that. You can check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/Ellie's Downtown Deli. Give them a call at 772-781-6605, or stop on into the restaurant. They're located at 18 Southeast 6th Street, just off Colorado Avenue in Stewart. Tell them you heard about it from Mike and Bonnie in the Morning.
saw some concerts recently. I saw Leonard Skinner. This is ASU. I'm a true dirtball. I'm telling you, I get back to my dirtball roots. Saw Leonard Skinner just because I wanted to hear my one favorite song by them. But I'm going to sit there for 2.5 hours because God forbid they open with Freebird. There's going to be a trampling getting out of there. Wait, we got some other stuff. Every other song they sing should be called Not Freebird because that's what it is. Here's another one that's not Freebird. I saw the Eagles. They had the sheer balls to open with Hotel California. They're like, oh yeah, we'll open with it. We don't care. We got 2,000 songs we can follow. And that was fun because they were great. But you know what? They made the mistake of trying to incorporate our city into their song because dips like me get impressed that they can read our town off the back of a mic stand. So they go out on a dark Arizona highway. But then they keep milking it. Cool Scottsdale wind in my hair. It's still us, dude. My friend lives in Scottsdale. Warm smell of Sun Devil Stadium. All right, we get it. Get off.
Alex Trebek is hinting that he might retire from Jeopardy in 2020. When asked what he'll do in retirement, Trebek said, "What is start drinking at noon?"
8:45 here on this Tuesday morning, and we are joined with a special guest here on the show this morning. We've got Dale Bellis of Liberty Health Shares joining us on the phone line once again here this morning. Good morning, Dale.
Good morning. Thanks so much for the invitation.
Absolutely. And Liberty Health Share, of course, is, well, it is, I'll let you describe what exactly Liberty Health Share is. We've talked a couple of times about it, but for the people who maybe have never heard about it before, what is Liberty Health Share?
We are a nationwide nonprofit association of men, women, and families that all unite around the cause of paying each other's medical bills. That's why we call it a health share. Our dollars literally go every month to another person to share in their costs. And then whenever I have a bill, that same group is there to share in mine.
And you mentioned specifically medical cost sharing. This is different from insurance.
It really is. It is really a way for people of faith and values to band together, pay each other's medical bills, but we do it on the basis of that's voluntary and cooperative. So that I join the community, my dollars then are matched to another person who has medical bills. So I see my money going to another individual, so I know where my money's going every month. And then should I have bills, that same group will then be there to pay my costs. And we're using that online technology and methodology, sharing about $25 million of medical bills every month.
And you mentioned it's a nonprofit, so the monthly money that people are sending in every month is going to actually help pay and is paying for other people's medical costs and not going to some CEO's golden parachute?
Which really keeps our overhead costs down. Every month, regardless of household size, whether it's a single couple or family, $24 goes toward administrative costs, and then the balance then goes to another person. So we are focused on facilitating that member activity. It's not about the organization and home office. It's about what the members themselves do, engaged with one another, involved in standing with each other during times of crisis and paying each other's medical bills.
And what is the cost per month?
Sure. It's at present, it's $2.99 for a single, $3.99 for a couple, or $5.29 for a family of three or more. We don't count more than three, so mom, dad, and all kids. That money then goes into a secure online account. We call it our share box, and then you literally transparently see your money flow to the member that you've been assigned to for that month a sufficient number of members are then assigned, kind of like crowdfunding. We cut the checks to the doctors and hospitals right out of that receiving member's account. And as I mentioned, we're using that methodology and sharing literally $25 million and more every month in eligible member costs.
That's interesting. So I pay my monthly amount, and I can actually see that of the $200 I paid, 75 is going to Janice in Indiana, and another $100 maybe going to Jack and Diane out in California. And you can see kind of that it's getting dispersed out to the people that need it.
And at the same time, you're exactly right. And at the same time, you can message them with cheer or encouragement or prayer, whatever the case may be. And sometimes in the biggest crises of our lives, our members tell us that kind of interaction, support, care, and connection is what gets them through, not just simply paying the bill, but that emotional, even spiritual support and connection is really that missing element in healthcare today. So it goes far beyond just simply paying the bill.
So it's medical cost sharing. It's different from insurance, but the Affordable Care Act is the law of the land, and that says that I need to have insurance. So how does this work with that law?
Boy, gratefully, under the terms of the Affordable Care Act, healthcare sharing ministries, of which we are one, simply means we help each other, are exempt from both the fines for not having insurance as well as the mandates of the ACA. So we're not subject to those fines for not having insurance, and we set our own rules. We call them guidelines for the kinds of bills that we participate in, and we share up to what we call an incident. If you go to the hospital, have a heart attack, we would share that cost. We pay, if you're a family, out of pocket the first $2,250. Then we share 100% of that expense up to $1 million for everything associated with that case, whether it's a hospital stay or surgery or medication or doctor visit, everything associated with that particular diagnosis up to $1 million. So every incident that occurs, we share up to $1 million of eligible costs.
We're speaking with Dale Bellis from Liberty Health Share here this morning. And Dale, you've mentioned a couple of times that it's a collection of like-minded individuals. It's a nonprofit healthcare sharing ministry. So faith is obviously important to Liberty Health Share and the members there involved. But is faith a requirement in order for somebody to sign up for Liberty Health Share? Is there going to be some type of religious test that we have to pass before we can take advantage and join the group?
We certainly don't intrude on individual faith choices or ask what your beliefs are, what church you attend, but we do hold a set of broad-based Judeo-Christian values, and we ask our members to sign off that is reflective of their viewpoint as well. And it primarily focuses around our belief that really God's placed us here on earth to use our time and resources to assist another person whenever they have a need. And we turn that principle into a solution for healthcare. So if you're the sort that drops your money in the Salvation Army bucket or engages with others in your community whenever there's a need, you may just be the kind of person that would be responsive to health sharing.
I'm sure there's somebody out there who is intrigued by the concept of this. Maybe their health rates keep going up and they're ready to try something new, and Liberty Health Share is there for them. So how can people out there get some more information?
Well, the best way is to our website, libertyhealthshare.org, libertyhealthshare.org. There's a place to ask for a free information packet. We call it our decision guide that gets delivered electronically to your email. So a name and an email, we'll send that out to you, and that's a great information packet. Or you can call the toll-free number that's listed there on the homepage, libertyhealthshare.org. Talk to one of our trusted advisors in our contact center. Just get all your questions answered. Peruse the pages of the website. There's a great frequently asked questions page there. But libertyhealthshare.org is the place to go.
All right, Dale Bellis with Liberty Health Shares joining us once again here this morning. Dale, we've spoken a couple of times now, and it seems that there's always something new that you tell us that I didn't know from the last interview, and it's always intriguing and interesting when we get a chance to speak with you. So thanks for giving us a call this morning, and we'll catch up with you next time.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for the invitation. God bless.
Dale Bellis with Liberty Health Shares joining us on the phone line this morning. 8:54 is the time. Treasure Coast News is next. Taking a look at our Treasure Coast News this morning, the fires in California continue to rage on, and now help is coming from all parts of the country, including from all the way here in Florida. WPTV's Alex Hagan spoke with members of the Florida Forest Service who are preparing themselves in case they get the call to head west.
Here in Florida during the wet season.
Right now, since I've been out, it looks pretty devastating on the news.
Raymond Kirkland sees the images and remembers his trip out west.
Out there, they have high winds, so that's definitely a big issue.
Total devastation over there is something, unimaginable.
Brian Torres tries to come to grips with what firefighters are dealing with.
See over there, I just can imagine what's going on, just evacuating all those people. And now you're turning an incident into another incident because all these people need to go somewhere.
The situation's so intense, the Florida Forest Service has already sent firefighters, including several from our area, along with equipment.
I'll be going available around August 10th.
Both Raymond and Brian may be going soon.
Go available in approximately 2 or 3 weeks.
A grueling task for any firefighter. Long walks, no sleep, constant battling. This is a 45-pound pack. A good example of what firefighters are required to carry out west while fighting fires in California.
And all of our supplies we need for the 16-hour shifts. That's normally pretty mandatory out there.
But it's all about doing your duty, like fighting fires here in the wet season. Mitigation.
Sort of gives a protective barrier as well.
Protecting lives and homes near and far is what's most important.
We had individuals come from other states to help us out. So
in Vero Beach,
one hand helps the other. So I like to go out there and give it back.
Alex Hagan, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Florida Senator Bill Nelson is joining with a colleague and calling on the Federal Trade Commission to investigate the company blamed for mismanaging Florida's SunPass and electronic toll systems in 6 other states. Conduit has been accused of billing customers for inaccurate toll charges, late fees, and penalties. Senator Nelson and Senator Gary Peters of Michigan say if drivers are being hurt financially, the FTC should hold the vendor accountable and prevent it from doing further harm. Earlier this month, the Florida Department of Transportation announced that it would suspend contract payments for Conduit after it botched a $287 million upgrade of the SunPass system. One of the Democrats who wants to replace him is calling on Governor Rick Scott to declare a state of emergency and suspend the Stand Your Ground self-defense law. Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum says Florida needs to do something because people are getting away with murder.
Stand Your Ground, as it exists in this state, has created the opportunity for people to take into their own hands a decision to be judge, jury, and executioner.
Members of the Black Caucus in the Florida legislature are also targeting Stand Your Ground, saying that they will propose some common sense changes in the law during next year's legislative session. A construction project's going on slightly longer than originally planned. The closure of Edwards Road at Oleander Avenue has been extended until August 10th. Crews hope to have the intersection open before the start of school. The closure is because of a culvert failure from Hurricane Irma. A detour will divert traffic from Edwards Road to US 1, down to Virginia, and then back to Oleander. That's your Treasure Coast news. Let's get one last quick look at traffic with Bonnie.
Well, we still don't have any accidents to report. It's been a great looking Tuesday morning out there on the road, so no accidents. And drive safely this morning. There's your latest look at traffic.
And that's going to do it for us here on this Tuesday morning. Make sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/WSTU1450. Got a new website that we're going to unveil soon. We'll let you know about that. You're listening to WSTU Stewart. Bonnie, have yourself a great day.
You have a nice day too, Mike. Have a nice day, Treasure Coast.
Dr. Tread's up next. It is 9 o'clock.